This is the book of Revelations, chapter 11 and verse 14. It says, "The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly." Before I begin this lesson, I want to give all honor, praise, and glory unto Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Racha Kodash, for giving me the spirit to do this lesson. Lord willing, this edifying to the elect. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, who rule well, who I learnt this truth from, who taught me the 100% truth, and are the leaders of all Israel in these end times. Shalom to you, Arkwaf, meaning you Israelite sisters that are in order. Shalom to you, brothers on the highways and hedges, teaching this gospel in all sincerity and in truth, risking your lives and giving up your body as a living sacrifice to edify the sheep of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. And shalom to you, Israelites scattered abroad. It may look like these other nations, but you see, line goes back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, making you Hebrew Israelite. Shalom. So, what I just read here is Revelations 11 and 14. It says the second woe is past, meaning the Second World War is past. And behold, the third woe, meaning the Third World War, cometh quickly. And now we're entering into this time of the third woe, okay? It's very important for you to understand that, this is biblical prophecy, and this will and is playing out in our time, in our generation, in our lifetime, okay? Now, I want to bring out a clip because as of today, Israel and America have struck Iran, and Iran has retaliated, and this marks a new chapter in this third woe, this third world war. And it's all downhill from here. It's gonna escalate. It's gonna have a domino effect. And I got a few clips I want to play, and I want to speak on a few things and give my opinion. And, Lord willing, this won't be too long.
The US and Israel launched coordinated attacks on Iran, striking multiple sites including the capital Tehran early on February 28, 2026. Explosions were reported in and around Tehran and other Iranian cities, with columns of smoke rising as air raid sirens sounded across Israel. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced a joint Israel-US assault to reshape Iran's future.
אזרחי ישראל, לפני שעה קלה יצאו ישראל וארצות הברית למערכה משותפת, מבצע שאגת הארי. מטרת המבצע, לשים קץ לאיום ממשטר האייתולות באיראן.
Trump also posted a video message on his social media and threatened Iran.
We are going to destroy their missiles and raise their missile industry to the ground. It will be totally, again, obliterated. We're going to annihilate their navy. We're going to ensure that the region's terrorist proxies can no longer destabilize the region or the world and attack our forces.
Iranian officials condemned the attacks as violation of sovereignty, accusing Washington and Tel Aviv of aggression and vowing retaliation. Iran responded by launching missiles and drones towards Israel, while also targeting US bases in Qatar, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain and Kuwait, widening the confrontation across the Gulf, which triggered explosions and air defense activity across these Gulf states. The latest attack by Israel and the US on Iran is followed by Israel's in June 2025 on the country's nuclear and military facilities, with the US later hitting key nuclear sites. Iran then retaliated by firing missiles at the Al Udeid airbase in Qatar, signaling that US forces across the Gulf were within the range.
Yeah, man, it's all escalating, and this is the beginning of sorrows. Understand that. The Bible said that let's just bring it out. Let's go to the book of Matthew, chapter 24, and we'll find it. Let's just start here. Matthew 24, starting at 4, it says, And Yahushua answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am the anointed, and shall deceive many. So you got many false prophets arising in these times we're living in. Verse 6, it says, And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, and that's what we're seeing right now. You know, this war that's now escalating, you know, in the Middle East, so-called Middle East, between Israel, America and Iran. So it says, Ye shall hear wars and rumors of wars. It says, See that ye be not troubled, right? And this is speaking to the elect. Okay, so, you know, people that aren't a part of the Lord's protection, they should be troubled because it's not a good time for them. But it is a time for us of the hopeful elect to rejoice because our Redeemer is, you know, is close. He's near. You know, the kingdom of heaven is nearer than when we first believed. You know, so it says, "See that ye be not troubled." It says, "For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet." So this is part of prophecy. It has to play out, but it ain't the end yet. This is just the beginning of sorrows. Okay, there's a lot of things that are getting ready to happen. But one thing we stress constantly is that the nukes won't fly. You know, America will not be destroyed, should I say, until the mark of the beast is implemented, until they start microchipping everybody and make it mandatory. Okay? So verse 7, it says, For nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. See? And this is the time we're living in, man, because, you know, you need to take note of verse 7 where it says, And there shall be famines and pestilences. Pestilence is disease. And there's going to be earthquakes in diverse places, okay? So famine will come as a result of this war. And I'm going to show you, you know, this is basically the base of this lesson, is to show you that this will cause a domino reaction, man. And there will be famine from this war. And it looks like it's going to happen sooner than some of us may have expected. I mean, it looks like it could be this year. By the end of this year, we could very well see famine all around the world. Okay, because it is very much a part of biblical prophecy that we're waiting on. We just didn't know exact time when it was going to happen, but we knew that it was going to happen very, very soon because of, you know, we measure the time diligently according to the prophecies. Now, I want to show you another clip, because this is Iran's response to, you know, them being bombed by the US and Israel, and they ain't messing about. This ain't about to die down. There ain't gonna be no peace talks or none of that, man. Okay, check this out.
اینکه سالها با شما بجنگیم. ترامپ بداند ما برای اینکه سالها با شما بجنگیم از پیشرفته ترین امکانات امروز برخورداریم. اول جنگ هرچی ته انبار داریم میزنیم، اما در ادامه قوی ترین موشک هامون رو خواهیم زد. اون چیزی رو که تا الان رو نکردیم و به قول ما بچه ایرانی ها تو آب نمک خوابوندیم، اونها رو هم این روزا رو خواهیم کرد.
So in case you missed that, I'm going to rewind it and I'm going to take the sound off and we're going to read through it together, right? It says, Trump should know that today we are equipped with the most advanced capabilities to fight you for years. See, Iran is not playing around. They're not a power to be messed with, man. Then you can't, you know, America can't just bully Iran like they have other people, you know, like Venezuela and Iraq and, you know, Yemen and all that. You can't do that to Iran. This is a whole nother ball game, and there's a lot of people that are going to come into to Iran's defense, including Russia and China, man. And Turkey. Turkey will get involved too. So this is going to get ugly, and we've been warning you for years about this. We're here doing this for a reason. The Lord has sent us to warn you, and all of you that don't listen, you think this is a game, you think you got time, or you think that some peace talks are going to happen and it's all going to fix itself and die down. You got another thing coming, man. You're about to F around and find out. Anyway, so he says, at the start of the war, we are firing whatever we have at the bottom of our stockpile. But as it continues, we will use our most powerful missiles, the things we have not revealed until now. See, Iran got tricks up their sleeve, okay? You can't just bully Iran, man, thinking, oh, they're just a third world country, and you know how Americans think. They're ignorant as hell to the rest of the world, man. All they know is this little bubble they live in called America, and they think that that's the world. They don't understand. It says the ones we have kept under wraps. Talking about their nukes, their missiles, and all these things that they have. They probably have nukes. It says we will also bring out these days. See? So they're going to bring out their toys these days, all right? Let's go to it, man, because this war is going to be different. It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 9, and verse 5. It says, for every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. So this third world war is going to be with burning and fuel of fire. All other battles we're with confused noise and garments rolled in blood. Hand-to-hand combat on the battlefield. This is going to be done by pushing buttons, drone strikes, missiles out the a-hole, man. It's gonna be a lot of bombs dropping in this war. And it's going to affect the whole world. Let me go ahead and show you this other video I came across. Right? Because there's all this rumor about the Straits of Hormuz. How, and we were talking about it this morning on the way to camp. We were saying if they block that straits, if they shut down that Straits of Hormuz, where most of the oil, and shipping containers and stuff go through, the whole world will be affected. Check this out, man.
Sepah Navy. This is Sepah Navy, Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy. From now on, all navigating through the Strait of Hormuz is forbidden. No ship in every type is not allowed to pass from a Strait of Hormuz till next notice. This is Sepah Navy, out.
So they've put a temporary block on any shipment through the Straits of Hormuz. If this was to be a permanent block, the whole world is going to feel it. You're going to see petrol prices go through the roof, oil prices go through the roof. You're going to see the cost of food go up like you've never seen before. It's going to have a mad domino effect. But this is Bible prophecy, okay? Now, I went to Grok after seeing this, and I asked some questions. I said, have they shut down the Straits of Hormuz? It says, no, not fully. It's messy right now. Iran's Revolutionary Guard just declared it closed and started broadcasting warnings to ships saying no passage allowed, right after those US and Israeli strikes today. Tankers are turning back or sitting still. Oil majors suspended shipments, and traffic's basically frozen. Think dozens of vessels backed up near ports. But here's the catch. It's not like they've mined it or blocked every lane yet. UK and US Navy say those orders aren't legally binding. Just threats. Vessels could still try. though no one's risking it. Some reports call it effectively closed because everyone's scared, but independent trackers show spotty flow, not total shutdown. So there's a little bit of flow going through, but not a total shutdown, right? It says short version, Iran is flexing hard, world's holding its breath, but it's more panic than padlock for now. Oil prices are already spiking. See? So even by this temporary block of the Straits of Hormuz, it's saying that oil prices are already spiking. So whatever your petrol was as of yesterday or today, it might not be the same tomorrow. All right? So you might want to fill up your gas tank while it's cheap. Because victuals will be so good cheap in these days we're living in. Right? Let's actually bring that out quick because, yeah, it just came to mind, man. Victuals cheap. Second Ezra 16, starting at 21, it says, Behold, victuals, which is food, shall be so good cheap upon earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case. So everyone thinks it's sweet right now because everything is affordable, let's just say. You know, the price of stuff is getting crazy, but it's still affordable. You can still eat, right? So you think yourself in good case. It says, and even then shall evils grow upon the earth, meaning things are getting worse, they're not getting better, and they're not going to get better because we're reading it. It's biblical prophecy. If you don't believe in the Bible, you're a fool, man. With all the evidence today and us bringing out what the Bible says and linking it up with real time, and you still don't believe, or you're still in some kind of doubt, you're a fool, man. So it says, and even then shall evils grow upon the earth, sword, famine, right? Keep in mind, famine. It says in great confusion. And this is going to be a result of this famine that's coming. It says, for many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine. So you're going to starve to either death, or you're going to starve to the point of being through out here, man. Looking like a skeleton. It says, for many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine. So this is going to be a worldwide thing. It says, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. So if you're lucky enough to escape the famine, you're going to get destroyed by either civil war, getting shipped off to war, because that's coming soon, the draft. They're going to draft your children. It says, shall the sword destroy. So that could go into, you know, martial law troops gunning you down because you know what I mean? You disobeyed the curfew or the lockdowns or whatever. Man, there's all kinds of ways you could die, but it'll be by the sword. And the sword is the Edomites. You know, the Lord uses the wicked as his sword. Okay? And it can also go into the nuclear missiles when they're shot off, because a lot of people are going to die from that too. Right? So verse 23, it says, and the dead shall be cast out as dung, meaning there's going to be so many dead bodies, they're not going to be, the bodies aren't going to be treated with respect and cleaned up and all that. It's just going to be, they're going to be laid out in the streets. It says, and the dead shall be cast out as dung, and there shall be no man to comfort them. For the earth shall be wasted, and the cities shall be cast down. See? So, one example of the cities being cast down, they've literally just struck, as a retaliation, Iran has struck Dubai. You know, they've struck many places, but Dubai is one of them. And Dubai is a popular, you know, tourist attraction spot where people go on holiday a lot, man. Especially from the UK. And, you know, it ain't safe to be going over that region right now with today's climate, man. And that's a place that people never thought would get bombarded with missiles. But yeah, your popular tourist spot is getting hit up right now. Okay, let me show you this video right here.
This is
showed you that one already, didn't I? Yeah, so there's another video that I don't have right now, but it shows you a particular hotel that got hit, right? So I want to continue reading. Let me see. Where did I leave off? Okay. So this is another question I asked Grok, right? I said, what would be the impact on the world if the Straits of Hormuz was to be totally blocked off? It says, oh man, if the straits got totally sealed, no ships in, no ships out, it'd be like flipping a switch on global energy. First off, oil. About 20% of the world's crude oil flows through there. Think Saudi, UAE, Iraq, Kuwait. That's roughly 20 million barrels a day gone overnight. Prices? They'd skyrocket, maybe double, triple in weeks. It says gas at the pump? Forget $5 a gallon. We're talking 10, 15, or maybe more in places like Europe or Asia. Shipping would grind. It may be quadruple the petrol prices, man. It says shipping would grind to a halt. Tankers reroute around Africa. It says adds 2 weeks, burns extra fuel, which the fuel prices will already be sky high. So imagine you're having to burn a whole lot of extra fuel with a 2 weeks extra travel on top of what could normally get to you 2 weeks quicker, right? 2 weeks on top of that with the fuel prices quadrupled. Imagine the reaction it's going to have, right? This war is going to get ugly. It says adds about 2 weeks, burns extra fuel, jacks up costs. It says insurance, sky high. Some routes like India to Europe could just collapse. Then the dominoes, right? And now I've been saying that this is going to cause a domino effect. Check this out. What Grok says will happen as far as a domino effect goes. It says stock markets tank, energy stocks crash, airlines fold, manufacturing stalls, inflation spikes everywhere, food, plastics, fertilizers, all tied to oil. It says poorer countries get crushed first. Think Pakistan, Bangladesh, Egypt. Riots over bread, not just fuel. Let's bring that out. Okay. Where is it? Let's find it. It's in verse 15, I think. Well, I could read all of this. It's all relevant, but let's just read this here. 2 Ezra 15 and 14. And it's speaking about the times we're coming into, right? It says, woe to the world and them that dwell in. Okay, so woe is a serious thing. It means death and destruction. And that's what's coming to the world and them that dwell therein. It's prophecy, is written. It's going to happen. So brace yourself. It says, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, which means draws near. So the sword and the people's destruction draws near. And the Lord ain't going to intervene and stop this because it's part of his plan. You got to understand that. You can't pray for this to go away because you're on the wrong side of prophecy if you're doing that. Okay? You got to embrace this and anticipate this. That's the right spirit to be in. It sounds crazy, but that's the truth. Okay? It says, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. So there's going to be civil unrest, class wars, race wars, religious wars, all sorts of wars, man. It's going to be civil war. It says in verse 16, for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. So they're not going to obey authorities, and it's going to be all out chaos, man. It says in verse 17, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. So there's going to be martial law and lockdowns and curfews. Verse 18, it says, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. See? Grown men going to be crapping themselves in this time we're coming into. And this is the point right here in verse 19. It says, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods, meaning they're going to get robbed because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. And that's what's coming as a result of this war, this domino effect, man. Okay, there's going to be a lack of bread, and there's going to be, what did it say? For lack of bread and great tribulation, right? So let's leave off where we started. Let's start where we left off. It says, poorer countries get crushed first. Think Pakistan, Bangladesh, Egypt, riots over bread, not just fuel. See? So they're going to be destroying each other's houses. What does it say? A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods. Riots over bread, right? And spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. We're coming into the time of great tribulation, all right? It says richer ones, right? Meaning richer countries. This is what's going to happen to them. Power cuts, rationing, factories idle. Okay, now, can't make this up. That's prophecy also. Let's bring that up. Let's see. There we go. All right. This is Isaiah 19 and 15. It says, neither shall there be any work for Egypt, which the head or tail, branch or rush may do. It says, in that day shall Egypt be like unto women. So grown men are going to be afraid, just like we read. They're going to be like women, man. It says, in that day, Egypt shall be like unto women. Keep in mind, Egypt is speaking about America. It's not the land of Egypt. This is talking about America. It says, Egypt shall be like unto women, and it shall be afraid and fear because of the shaking of the hand of Yahweh of hosts, which he shaketh over it. So all this that's happening right now is the shaking of the hand of the Lord. The Lord is pissed off with this place, man. The Lord knows more than we understand about the Epstein files and all that. He knows the inner details of every man's thoughts and all things that are going on in the dark. You think he's gonna, if you're pissed off about the Epstein files and the things going on in the world, how do you think the Lord feels, man? This place is cooked. It's time for the Lord to shut this place down, right? So I want to go back to verse 15. It says, neither shall there be any work for America, which the head or tail or branch or rush may do. So there's going to be no work. Why? Because it says power cuts, rationing, factories idle. See? Germany, Japan, they'd scramble for LNG, but there's not enough. LNG, I'm not exactly sure what that is, to be honest. I'll have to look that up. Geopolitics, it says Iran wins short-term leverage, but they'd starve too. No exports, no cash. US and allies might bomb their way back open or mine the strait themselves. Either way, it's war. Maybe not nuclear, which it will be nuclear. It says, but close. So it ain't going to be nuclear right now. Okay, they might drop one, maybe two here and there, you know, in certain regions as false flags or whatever. But, you know, ultimately America, and when they shoot off all their nukes and it's all out nuclear holocaust, that's going to be the day of the Lord. Okay, so we know that ain't yet going to happen yet until they release that mark of the beast and make it mandatory. But it says, bottom line, one choke point, the whole planet chokes. See, the Straits of Hormuz is a choke point. You know, it's well known as a choke point. But if that choke point gets choked, the whole planet chokes. It says we'd adapt, wind, solar, coal, but not fast enough. 6 months of chaos, then maybe a new normal. Brutal. And don't listen to all that, because that ain't happening, okay? That's not part of prophecy. Kingdom of Heaven comes next, all right? And it ain't going to be by wind power and solar and all that. It's going to be a whole new realm, a whole new way of living, because the Lord and the angels and the new Jerusalem, which is the elect, they're all coming down to, you know, change this world, man. But, you know, I want to also bring out another scripture, because when it talks about there shall not be any work for Egypt, there's another scripture that comes to mind. Grinding cease. I probably didn't spell that right, did I? Grinding. Let's just see what that pulls up. Here we go. I don't know why that's not highlighted. Right, let's just get to the point for the sake of time. In verse 3, this is Ecclesiastes 12:3. It says, "In the day when the grinders of the house shall, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble." Right, that's people that you know, look over the stock markets and, you know, the economy and stuff, the economists. You know, they're going to tremble because they know that, you know, the economy is screwed, basically, right? And this is going to be a result of the war. It says, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few. Meaning there's going to be very few jobs out here when, you know, everything reaches a boiling point, when it reaches its peak, when this war really gets going, okay? It's going to be when you're on your grind, it means you're hustling, you're making money, right? When you're grinding. But when the grinders cease because they are few, meaning there's few jobs out here, man. There ain't gonna be much grinding going on. It says, and those that look out of the window be darkened, meaning, you know, the future isn't looking optimistic, right? It says, and the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low. So, you know, you're gonna have a lot of business places going out of business, man, when this war really takes effect, and, you know, you see the domino effect of this war. And this war with Iran is the main goal of America for a long time. But now his hand is forced because he doesn't have long left to rule. Let's bring that out next, right? So it says, when the sound of the grinding is low, it says, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low, okay? Because there ain't going to be a time of rejoicing, man. You ain't going to be hearing all this music everywhere. People partying and having a good time, because the whole atmosphere of the world is getting ready to be shifted. It's getting ready to change, man. So let's turn to the book of Revelation, chapter 12 and verse 12. And it says, therefore rejoice, ye heavens. So this is a time for us of the hopeful elect to be rejoicing. And we are rejoicing every time we hear things like this happening. It puts a pep in our step, man. It gets us feeling like, yes, we're almost out of here, okay? Because we don't want to stay here in this place. You lot can have it. We want out of this place, man. We want a place, you know, we're looking for a place wherein dwelleth righteousness, a new kingdom, a new heavens and a new earth, man. This one has to be destroyed, okay? So it says, therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. So death and destruction to the people of the world, right? The masses. It says, for the devil, which is Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, starting with their elites, right? They're the ones pulling the strings. They're the ones ruling this world, and everything that's happening is happening on their watch. But why is it happening? It's about to say, it says, for the devil is come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he have but a short time. Because so according to prophecy, Esau's on his way out of here, man. He's getting ready to be taken out of power, and the Israelites are getting ready to rule the whole earth. Okay, and the elites know this, right? But they're playing on you lot's ignorance and the fact that you lot don't know what's going on. That's why they can say, oh, we're doing this and we're doing that for peace, right? When they're not doing that, when they're not bombing countries and destabilizing countries for peace. They're doing it because they don't have long left to rule. Let's read it. 2 Ezra 6 and starting at 7, it says, Then answered I and said, What shall be the part and asunder of the times? Or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? So Ezra is inquiring, when is going to be the end of this world and the beginning of the new world that's promised to come, meaning the kingdom of heaven, okay, which is the new rulership, the golden age, let's just say, right, which people like to call. So verse 8 says, And he answered and said unto me, From Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. It says, For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So Esau is the so-called white man, the Rothschilds and all them, the ones ruling the world, the DuPonts, Gettys, Oppenheimers. These are the ones ruling the world, man. Esau, the Edomites. For Esau is the end of the world, so they're ruling at the end of the world. So don't let nobody try to trick you into thinking that the Edomites, the so-called white man, is Japheth. It doesn't say Japheth is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth, does it? So, you know, these people are false prophets that are teaching that bugged out doctrine. It says in Jacob, which is you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, as well as the, you know, Israelites, foreigners, you know, the ones that you look like these other nations, but their seed line goes back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right? Jacob, you Israelites, is the beginning of it that followeth, meaning we're getting ready to rule the earth next, all right? And there's nothing that these elites can do about it, all right? Now, I want to close it out with this. In fact, I think I got one more video to play. Let me just play this real quick and we'll bust out that scripture and close it out.
Israel has just threatened China and said that they will strike Beijing if they think that members of the Gaza resistance are there. Israel has warned Xi Jinping that if they find out that members of are in China, they will attack them. The Chinese have responded saying that they do not seek war with anyone, but if Israel strikes the Chinese, they will respond and there will no longer be a country to attack back. The Chinese are also requesting Israel be kicked out of the United Nations for these remarks and for Palestine to take its place as a legitimate member of the United Nations. The Chinese also saying that they've been around for thousands of years and Israel has been around for less than 100 years illegitimately. The Chinese government...
See, because everyone's onto these small hats. And forgive me for the music. Hopefully I don't get a copyright strike for this. This guy who made this video, this Jake right here, you know, he could have left that music out, man. He's, you know, that's a foolish thing to do. You know, such a serious topic and you're here putting a hip-hop beat in the background, man. Come on, man.
Says that even a tiny strike on China will result in a full-scale war of defense, and China will make sure that they will never be attacked again. Do you support these statements by Xi Jinping? Comment below and make sure to follow me for the newest update.
We fully support you, Xing Jing. Do your thing, Xing Jing. Xing Jinping. We're rooting for Putin, Trump, Xi Jinping, all of them, bud. Bring little Rocket Man in the mix too. A little what's his name? Kim Jong-un. Where he at? You know what I'm saying? Like, let's get it popping, man. I'm tired of this place. So as you can see, you know, there's threats of China getting involved, and it's escalating on a crazy level. But you know, this is what's going to be a result of it right here. Famine. 2 Ezra 6 starting at 22. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. So all your grocery stores are suddenly going to be wiped out clean. There ain't going to be nothing on the shelves, man. From looting and from, you know, the shipments not coming through because of the effects of this war. When they choke that Straits of Hormuz, that choke point, the whole world going to choke, man. Right? So verse 24, it says, at that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies. So all this buddy crap that you lot got going on right now, you can forget that, man. That's out the window in the times we're coming in. It's going to be every man for himself. So if you've got friends, expect them to turn animalistic, because, you know, they're going to see that they're having to do what they have to do to survive. And everybody's going to be in survival mode during that time. Ain't going to be no such thing as you got food and you're here helping out your mate. No, all that's out the window, because there ain't barely going to be any food around, man. People going to be selfish as hell. You're going to see people's true nature come out. They're going to be animalistic out here, man. At that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs of the fountain shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. Whosoever remaineth of all these that I have told thee shall escape and see my salvation and the end of your world, meaning the end of Esau's world, okay, and the beginning of Jacob's. And Jacob's world's going to be lit, all right? You ain't going to have the problems that you have today. You're going to see colors everywhere. Everything going to be beautiful, kept up. It's going to be beautiful, man. You're going to have smells again. You're going to see the blue sky again without them spraying chemtrails every time the sun comes out, because these devils, they don't like the sun. You know, the sun it helps us and it hurts them. So since they're ruling the earth wickedly, then they're going to do what they got to do to up their numbers and decrease ours. And they are even going as far as spraying the sky. So this is why we're anticipating, you know, this World War III. We're cheering it on. Okay, like I said, it may sound crazy, but we're in the right spirit, because we want to see this place destroyed. All right. The Lord said, haste in the day. And that's what we're doing in the spirit. All right. So, you know, this is just a quick update. Lord willing, you were edified. I'm going to close out. Give all honor, praise, and glory unto my Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Racha Kodash. All right. Shalom.